This one's for Jiha. You grew up in Korea. I don't know what it's like there, but you did say there are not a lot of women artists these days. I mean, back in the day, there weren't a lot of women artists. So I want to know, when you were growing up, were you told to do things like be an engineer or study math or, different kind of things? Or were you encouraged to be an artist?
Oh, that's a really good question. I guess like I'm in the middle. For we've three kids. I have older brother and younger sister. My brother was really smart. I mean, he's still smart, but he was smarter. And being in a first son in the Korean family, I guess it's in like Asian culture too. I think it's really important. Son gets all kinds of power. Of course, they have a humongous responsibility when they grow up. But I didn't have that responsibility. But at the same time, I had to fight for my attention. I have to like grab my mom's attention. Like I wanted to show something, and always the attention goes to my brother. Of course, my brother, like now I ask, he didn't want any of the attention, but it wasn't his fault. But being in the middle was kind of difficult for me. Of course, my mom said she equally loved all of us, of course, but like I wanted to do something really well to get my parents' attention. Apparently, I wasn't really good at anything else. So, and none of my family was drawing or painting or anything. I don't know. They were really wondering where I'm coming from. And I get sometimes jealous, like, families like artists and, like they understand what you do. And like they did not understand, but they were very supportive and they pay all my education. So I have no complaint. But I guess like when I was in elementary school, I got some awards or something. I didn't even notice what I drew. But then people start giving me attention. It's almost like a therapy in a way. Like I wanna like get awarded and get attention. Being popular. So it's a fortunate culture in Korea. If you're good at something, you get popular. You're not being called dork or nerd. If you're good at math, if you're good at taekwondo, here in American culture, you have to be a football player or you have to be, look, I feel sad for the like high school culture here, but they have their own problem in Korean culture. They have to study so hard to go to university. A lot of kids committed suicide in like early, like 90s and then late 80s. So we have different culture problem, but I guess I was really happy. I mean, it was kind of natural, and I guess it was kind of survival skill too. But now I enjoy a totally different reason. But they're very supportive what I do, but they don't really come to my shows though. But I think it's okay.
Well, one of the comments that both the panelists made when looking out to the audience was that they didn't see many Asian faces. And the question was then, are Asian people not interested in art? Or are there not as many Asian artists? And perhaps, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, we do see Asian people, but not as many. So what's going on here? We certainly have many talented Asian artists. And at Smith, I know there are many students who are very interested in art, Asian students who are very interested in art. What's happening? Is it maybe the parental pressure or the parental lack of recognition, or the second generation immigrant families pressure for their kids to become doctors and lawyers, and perhaps they discourage being poor artists? We're not sure, but I think it's something that we need to think about and to promote the continuation of the growth of talents of young Asian artists. Any other questions?
As an Asian, as an artist, sort of, I just want to say, I think that your last statement is true. I think there's always a lot of pressure to achieve, and art is not. I mean, for everyone, as they said, it's not considered something serious. It's a hobby, and you're encouraged to be successful and to make a living, and we know that it's hard to make a living being an artist. So, I think, in general, it's the same thing. To be an artist is a difficult choice, and there's so many other opportunities, and if you can do other things and make a living, I think that we're taught to be drawn to those things. I always felt that that the academics, the serious, like the math and the science, was more serious than being an artist. So and I could do that, so I did that as well. And so and you can make a living doing that more easily as well.
Thank you for that comment.
Yes, I just wanted to shift it slightly because I've been watching the Olympics, and as we may know, that last night, Kim Yuna, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, and Mao
Asada,
both won, and maybe you could address, because they're your country people, but also the incredible pressure. They made so much about the incredible pressure, these two young, beautiful women who are using their bodies as their art. Incredibly beautiful performances. Should be so proud. But the pressure that they're under, I don't know if there's any equivalents that you might address.
Well, I don't know. Can I say a little bit about that comment? Well, I think the American media is focusing on Jina Kim's pressure too much. It almost makes me embarrassed watching TV with my American husband, because it seems like she's enjoying the pressure, and I think only 19 years old in American age, but also she received so much success in Korea already, and I think she has a responsibility. She makes so much money. People look up to her, and there's a certain expectation she needs to meet, and she probably feel really pressure. But in the media, and she said she doesn't really have any pressure. But I was thinking that maybe that's just the one side of observation, because Korean media doesn't do that to Jina Kim. They just celebrate the victory, and then just being a beautiful woman achieved that big goal. It's more like a celebration rather than focusing on Koreans almost, my husband almost last night what's gonna happen if she didn't win? They're gonna kill her or something? I was like, no, but the media, what media is saying, focusing on that, it make me embarrassed. And I know that's the part of that. I know that's true, but certain pressure does wonderful thing, but too much pressure is not good. I know that, but I think she's happy, and I wish media don't really capture that, just focusing on that kind of bad side of Korean culture. They all do that for soccer and Olympics. Couple of things they go nuts on it, but I don't think it's not really harmful or anything. I don't think even if she didn't win it, they're still gonna love her. So that's just my observation.
I'm pleased I'm not the figure skater. I don't have that much pressure at all.
Well, if I can chip in, I think what's been highlighted was the rivalry between Korea and Japan, and as represented by these two skaters, Kim and Asada. And what's interesting to me is that despite this heightened rivalry, which does exist because of the historical relationship between Japan and Korea, as I mentioned, there's also a rich cultural exchange between these two countries, whether it's in art, popular music, film, fashion, and so on. So despite the heightened tension in international relations, the accusations of stealing or kidnapping, etc., I think there's a lot to learn from both Japan and Korea, and with each other.
This is a question for Miwa-san, and I'm curious into seeing how going to art school transformed your work, because there is this tradition of apprenticeship in Japanese ceramics, and your work has this installation quality that I'm really intrigued by.
I had education from my father since I was elementary school, and he was very strict, and I didn't have chance to play with other children after school, and sometimes I cried because I suffered a lot. And after that basic training, I went to art school in Tokyo and in London, Wales. And I wanted to learn something completely new form of art, not the conventional form of art like sculpture or paintings. So I think I really enjoyed both. The basic training, I learned something. There's a pain and pleasure at the same time in the process of making art. And also I learned something, how to create completely new things out of nothing at the interactive art course in United Kingdom. So then I'm doing ceramic art, which is very ancient technique. Then I'm quite happy to do. So.
Do you like your father is national treasurer, right?
My grandfather.
Your
is.
grandfather. Do you have any desire to be one of national treasure in Japan as a woman? Do they have like
Actually,
women?
there's no women ceramicist who is a national living treasure. I don't know if I could live long, you know.
Well, thank you very much.